everybody, and welcome to our third installment of the 12 for 12 LMEA webinar series. And I am just so excited about our topic tonight, empowering female conductors. And when I tell you we're going to learn a lot tonight, folks, we're going to learn a lot. And I have a few of my most excellent female conductors with me tonight. And I say friends and colleagues from all over the country. And they're going to bring to us so much knowledge tonight. They're going to be led tonight by my good friend, Dr. LaToya Webb. And I'm going to turn things over to her, and she's going to give you a few housekeeping rules and tell you about how we're going to use Pear Deck and be engaging tonight. Folks, let's give it up for our moderator tonight, Dr. LaToya Webb.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. It's going to be a party. We are so excited to share with you and to learn of your experiences. Please know that this is a safe and respectful place. Safe, respectful space. All right, let's get started. Go ahead and turn these cameras on. Come on, turn them on. We want to see you. We need to see you, and you must be present in this profession at all times. And if not, somebody just may look over you. Okay, so turn these cameras on. Get in this room. Please do grab a notebook or a journal and a pen or a pencil, because these ladies, I'm sure, will drop many golden nuggets and gems. So you want to take note. All right, tonight we are working in Pear Deck, and it is an interactive presentation tool used to engage all attendees. So again, take note, because you may want to use this platform if you've never heard of it before in your classrooms or in your ensemble setting. So please navigate to joinpd.com and enter the code. And I will place this in the chat. Oh, Dr. Irvin is on it. Thank you, Dr. Irvin. Dr. Irvin has placed that in the chat. Please navigate to joinpd.com. You can go ahead and minimize your Zoom. And I'm about to share my screen for the PD. We have 35 attendees in joinpd.com currently. So come on in the space. Come on in the room. I will not check this chat right now. We are working in Pear Deck. So get in the Pear Deck room, joinpd.com. Okay, we got 37. The numbers are going up. I see 60 participants in this room. Come on into Pear Deck, joinpd.com. All right, full screen. Let me get things going over here on my side. And everyone else, if you have not yet joined Pear Deck, the code is up here in the right-hand corner of my screen. So joinpd.com and just go ahead and plug in this code. All right, so again, tonight we are working on empowering female conductors. How can we do that? Really quick, so you should see in your Pear Deck, I would like to know where you are located right now. So go ahead and drag that red navigational tool into whatever area you are located. Place your dot on that map. I have 35 responses. Come on in the room. Place your dot on the map. And now I'm going to show these responses. Woo-wee! Oh my goodness, South America International, yes! Come on, get these dots on here. Get them in here.
Okay, LaToya, can I just say right now, I want to be in your Zoom classroom all the time. Just all the time.
That's it. Get these navigational icons in here. Awesome. So we have a sense of our community right now. We have people in North America. We still moving around here. I don't know. Somebody's in the ocean. Get that icon in the right spot there. All right. Let's keep it rolling. We're just getting a sense and a feel for our community here. Now, let's talk about what led us all to this music profession. So go ahead and type your response, please. How'd you get here? Maybe you were influenced, inspired by a band director or choral director or orchestral director. Maybe your parents were educators. Maybe some other family members were educators. Maybe you just have a love and passion for music. So what's your story? We have 36 responses. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's check things out. Oh, wow. My father was a band director and I grew up around band and music. Again, all responses are anonymous, so please feel free to respond. This is a safe and respectful place. Being a drum major, high school band director, inspirational teacher who saw my talent and drive. That's so important. I see you, you see me. Inspired by high school, phenomenal music teachers throughout my life. Love of music, love of teaching, good musical role models. Yes. So it seems like we all pretty much are in the same space and we were influenced by someone. It's a beautiful thing, and we have to keep inspiring and keep empowering and keep encouraging, because we never know who is looking up to us, who is following our journey. Family influence. Check out these answers. Wonderful teachers. Oh, my dad is a tuba player. How awesome is that to hear the tuba every day in the house? It was the music. Yes, absolutely. Thank you all so much for responding. All right, now we're breaking things down. I do have to warn you that there is some sensitive content in this presentation, and it may make you feel a certain type of way. You may get a little uncomfortable, but that is okay. You have to figure out what is making you uncomfortable, why is it making you uncomfortable, when is it making you uncomfortable, and you have to be able to acknowledge your personal biases deep down within. We all have them. Okay, it's not a secret. We all have personal biases, but you have to get to the root of it and figure out why you have it. It could be your upbringing. It could be an experience that you have had. It could have been maybe you listened to someone else say something and you took it and ran along with it and you made an assumption. So you have to acknowledge your personal biases, seek understanding, try to empathize with others, put yourself in their shoes, share your knowledge and experience to make others aware, and always, always, always advocate for change. The broadened acceptance of women musicians and the women's movement opened doors for female conductors. Though the doors open, female conductors still face many obstacles daily. There is consistent research showing that males continue to dominate the conducting field. Musicians of all ages should know that there is a place for them in the music profession. All musicians and educators must convey this message by considering their purpose and their why. What is your purpose? What is your why? Pablo Picasso stated, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." We know that life on earth is not forever, and some of us have lost loved ones throughout this global pandemic. So we can't stay here forever. Life is not forever, which is why we must find our gift. We must share our gift and give it away to the future generations to come. I believe that one of my gifts is to inspire and empower everyone in and through music, whether it's from others watching my journey, me leading an ensemble, teaching, having a conversation, using my voice as a platform for written articles, or mentoring and advocating, which is, what we're doing tonight. So let's hear from our panelists. What is your gift and how are you giving it away? Please unmute Dr. Phillips.
Good evening. It's so great to see everybody here. And thank you, Dr. Webb, for this kind invitation. I think my gift is the gift of encouragement. And for me, working with and teaching young people who love music is the way that I'm able to take that gift of encouragement and work with other people. So in a nutshell, that would be my response.
Thank you so much. That's so good. What about you, Dr. Mitchell-Spradlin?
Thank you, Dr. Webb. I'm so happy to be here. And I echo Dr. Turner when I say that I too want to be in your Zoom room all the time. I think my gift is dynamic interactions with students, having empathy and care about their lives outside of the classroom, and growing with them, helping them to grow, and following them through in their paths from on their way to me and time with me, and then keeping up with them when they leave.
Thank you. Absolutely. That's so good. Dr. Johnston Turner, what about you?
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. And it's absolutely delightful to be here. So I've been wondering if gift is the same as strength, and I'm not sure. If it is, then I'm always kind of cognizant of the fact that one's greatest strength, if you think about it, is also one's greatest weakness. My husband says that my gift is a big heart, maybe. If a big heart is a strength, then I think that also comes with vulnerability. And Brene Brown, if you've read any of her stuff, she would think that that's a good thing. But a big heart, I think, can also be a weakness. It may lead one, and it has led me to be, despondent at a lot of things that are happening around us right now. I fight that urge. I fight the urge to throw up my hands at all the madness that's going on in the world, but luckily my fight impulse is stronger than my flight impulse. How does one give away compassion, a big heart? I try to be kind and empathetic, and I think I've learned a lot of that this year. I tried to teach and lead with empathy. All the time I try to choose this. But I think my other gift is that I pay attention. And that may seem like a weaker response, but I don't think so. I think in leadership, it's crucial to pay attention. In higher ed and education in general, this means for me to pay attention to trends, to figure out the difference between innovation and novelty, and there is a difference. Pay attention to demographics, to student needs, to changing career possibilities, vastly changed even in this last year. And to listen and listen deeper.
Thank you so much for sharing. You dropped some really good gems there, and I am observant as well, so I'm with you on that one. What about you, Dr. Simon?
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Thank you again for the invitation, Dr. Webb. It's a pleasure to be here. This is a hard question for me. Questions like these are always hard for me. I'm like Dr. Turner. I don't necessarily know if it would be a gift or a strength. I'm one of those people. I'm that tough love, honest opinion, giving you constructive criticism, real world, giving you what you need to be successful. That's my gift and my fault, I think. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth. But in my head, I'm thinking, I'm giving you what you need for the world. The world's not going to be nice to you. The world's not going to call you into their office and braid your hair and cry with you when your boyfriend breaks up with you. I'm that person that's going to be there and say, look, you got to get it together. You go ahead and get these tears out and let's move forward. So that's my blessing and my curse that I offer to all of my students.
Well. If you can't handle the truth, you got to get out that kitchen, right? Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Simon. And for all our other panelists, we are on the quest to finding our gift, or shall I say our strength, and making things, better for ourselves and everyone else in this profession. I hope you all are writing on those notepads, okay? Musicians and educators must also think about how they address situations and individuals in the profession, put plans into motion, and advocate for change. So let's start with Dr. Mitchell-Spradlin. You recently presented 4 sessions at the NAFME Northwest Division Conference. Could you speak about advocating for change through this platform and provide words of encouragement for more educators to have confidence in their experiences, abilities, and their voice to share with others at state, national, and international conferences?
Sure. I think in terms of advocating for change, in those 4 sessions, a couple of them were on programming and building diversity. One was just ways to include inclusivity in our programs in general, with our programming and outside of our programming too. And so I think the way to do that is just to speak those thoughts often and to share those philosophies often. I think if we want to see any sort of change, we have to speak it out loud instead of internalizing questions like, oh, I wish this, or how come we don't do that? Instead, flip it around and take a little bit more initiative and think, well, we could see a change if this happened. And then what do I do in order to make that happen? I think that also comes from having a deep why. You mentioned why earlier, Dr. Webb, and a sense of purpose. And I know for me, over the past several years, I've worked harder towards honing in on my personal purpose and my sense of why, so that I can better articulate that to others. One of the topics was overcoming hurdles with COVID and kind of pivoting to a digital or hybrid model. And another one was forming a genuine connection with musicians and music. And so I think at the heart of every single one of them, it's always, why do we do this? Why are we educators? What do we impart to students? Why do we want to see them grow? What is the purpose? And everything stems from that. Everything, advocacy, truth, growth, change, everything. In terms of words of encouragement for others, I think every experience shapes who we are and the lives that we live. If someone goes out of their way to ask you to speak on a given platform, I now think I'm going to do it as authentically as I know how to do. I don't know how to be anyone else. I only know how to be me. And once I made that shift to stop trying to do things the right way and instead trying to do them the way that felt right to me, I felt much less anxiety and much less pressure. And I believed way more. I believed in what I had to say more as well with any topic. And so I guess to wrap this up, my overarching advice would just be find your why and speak it out loud, speak it often, and be yourself.
Thank you so much. Dr. Johnston Turner, you have made significant contributions to the musical repertoire by actively promoting commissions and now collaborating with the Athens Hip Hop Harmonic. Could you please discuss how you have put these plans into motion?
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to say to Tonya, that was lovely. When I was really struggling at Eastman, I was just so nervous in front of the Eastman Wind Ensemble, and Don Hunsberger, who was a great mentor to me, at one point said, Cindy, just be yourself. And he had no idea, well, maybe he did, he's a very smart guy, just what impact that had on me, but also it still took me years to figure that out. And I see it all the time, and I'm not sure I'm even, I mean, the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't care what people think, and I'm trying to figure out who I am, but I see a lot of time, especially young women, but also young men, when they're these amazing people and you have this conversation, and then they get on the podium and they become some version of themselves, because some version that they think they should be, which I think Tonya was talking about, and it's just so sad. And I think to be yourself, it just takes courage. It really does, and it takes vulnerability, and it takes time, and it takes work. But anyway, I'm not answering your question. Tonya got me thinking about that. It's like, yes, that is so important. Yeah, the hip hop harmonic and commissioning underrepresented composers. Yeah, briefly, I mean, I think we need to to mention that when we talk about gender equity, we also need to talk about race and gender equity. I think I put it in the chat. I put a bunch of resources in the chat, but if you have not listened to or watched Kimberly Crenshaw, there's a TED Talk that she does on intersectionality that is extremely illuminating. But the Hip Hop Harmonic Project, that's just, I think, an example of paying attention locally and globally. The hip hop scene in Athens is incredible, but also paying attention with intention and empathy. People who are not white bear burdens that I, because of my skin color, do not. I'm privileged in that respect, and I acknowledge that privilege. And some who are privileged don't want to give up power, even though they say they might want to. So I feel like it's my moral duty to raise awareness of this, to get into good trouble, to use the words of John Lewis. And so commissioning underrepresented composers and performing their music, their truth, I feel that that's the least I can do in my place of privilege. And I've also learned that acting locally is a powerful way to enact change. So the Athens Hip Hop Harmonic, I don't want to take time describing it, but you can find out about it. I think that that's an example of paying attention and really good creative placemaking. And there's a difference between creative placemaking and community outreach and community engagement. We have time, we can go into it, but yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
Thank you so much. Dr. Phillips, you are leading in various capacities as Director of Bands, President of the National Band Association, Chair of the Music Education Committee for the College Band Directors National Association, and co-chair of the American Bandmasters Association Commissioning Committee. Wow, busy. Could you share one obstacle you faced during your time within the profession? How did you address the situation or individual, and what did you take away and learn from that experience?
Yeah, that's such a fantastic question that I think probably almost everyone in this room, regardless of who you are, probably can answer. We've all run into something professionally in dealing with our peers, or maybe with band parents or whoever. And so for me, I've been blessed. I've had many female mentors. I've had many male mentors, and all have been very open and accepting of who I am and allowing me to be the best of who I can be. And so I can't say that I've had issues with a mentor, but I have run into issues. And it was actually not until later in my career, oddly enough, where it was when I came out to Colorado, and I was brand new here, and no one knew who I was. I was coming from a very long time in the Southeast, and never ran really into issues there, but got out here and was asked immediately by a wonderful band director if I'd come and clinic marching bands after they did a festival, pre-festival performance. And everybody was so welcoming and so kind, except for a small group of young guys who were new in the profession, and for whatever reason I don't think they had ever seen a female band director, and were absolutely sure that there's no way that she would have anything to say to their students. And that took me back, to be honest. I mean, I wasn't young at that point, and to see that was surprising, especially out west, where you thought it might be a different kind of mindset. Anyway, what I did is, after I picked up my jaw off the ground for a quick second, I just turned to the students and started teaching them. I completely ignored those guys, and I worked with those kids. Those kids were awesome. They were great kids. And the minute that they got past the fact that they were following the lead of their band director, and they kind of got right here and started listening to what I was saying, we had a great time. And each one of those bands, I walked away from thinking, those are great kids. And, over time, I find that folks like that, you help grow up, when it comes to those kinds of band directors. And I think they will. I really do. I think they were just, young bucks who were ready to take on the world and weren't ready quite for someone that looked a little different to be there. So anyway, that's one example that is coming to mind first that I would share.
Thank you so much. Again, we have to address situations, individuals, put plans into motion, and continue to advocate for change and do what you do and do it well. Do it well. Time for Pear Deck. Equal opportunity in music exists. Do you agree or disagree? Please select your response. Again, if you are not in Pear Deck, come on into the Pear Deck room, joinpd.com. The access code is in the upper right-hand corner of my screen. Here we go. Responses are still trickling in. We have 10 who agree so far, 35 who disagree. So we're going to take some time to hear from someone in our micro Zoom community. So would one person please unmute and just let us know why you chose yes. So this is, judgment-free zone here. You selected yes. You were confident in your answer. This is no right or wrong. Why do you think that there are equal opportunities in this profession? One person who selected yes. Make sure you unmute.
Hi. Sorry. My name is Caroline Gilmore. I selected agree, but I'm really more on the sometimes kind of category. I think that there are situations where equal opportunity does not exist in music, but I think that it often can be obtained with the involvement of either the school board or the band director or band boosters to help get a child to where they would need to be for them to have an equal opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing, Caroline. Now, let's take a response from someone who said no. You selected no. You do not believe that there are equal opportunities in music. Again, this is judgment-free. You were confident in your no response, so bring it on. Unmute.
Is this from panelists or participants?
This is from the micro Zoom community, the participants. Anyone, someone who chose no.
Hi, I'm Hannah Avina. I just think that so many things in music are so expensive, like instruments and lessons and festivals and all these things that are really important and vital in your education. So some sort of good financial standing is often required to just get your foot in the door so that you can get those other opportunities where financial assistance might come into play.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I remember you. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your yes and no responses. Again, this is a safe and respectful space. Some of you may feel that, yes, there are equal opportunities, and some of you may feel that, no, there are not equal opportunities. So what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to remedy it? What are you going to do to put these plans into motion and continue to advocate for change? Dr. Simon, your teaching and research interests are focused on music teacher education and retention, particularly in low socioeconomic schools. What are some suggestions on providing more equal opportunities in music? And what steps can we take to champion a more equitable environment for all in this profession?
Okay, so this is usually where people snatch the mic away from me because I am very passionate about this because this has been my experience just as in music. And what are we all but, you know, a culmination of all of our experiences. I grew up in South Memphis, poor neighborhood. We lived in government housing. You know, we got government checks, and that's just how I grew up. I didn't know anything different. I went to school with kids in the same situation. Middle school is when we started band in Memphis. I'm from Memphis. Um, we started band in middle school. Okay, I come from a family with no money. Luckily, we had a program that had instruments. Now, those instruments were, you know, instruments with put together with duct tape and prayers, but they were instruments nonetheless. We all learned how to play. I got to high school, and you know, I realized, you know, I really like this band thing. This band thing is kind of cool, you know. They, and again, we had our own, they had their own instruments, classroom set, so I was good there. I started realizing like there were opportunities for music outside of school. So I had never done like state contests. I didn't know what that was. Solo and ensemble, I didn't know what that was until I got to high school. So I get to high school and I'm telling my band director, you know, do you know about this? I want to go to this. So I go there, and when I tell, now, mind you, I'm pretty good. I'm first chair in my band. I'm pretty good. Clarinet player, pretty good. I go to these contests, and these kids are playing circles around me, circles. And I just didn't understand. I was like, wait a minute. Something is wrong here. I missed a step somewhere in there. I make A's we did 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, I make straight A's. I'm the best in the class, not just the best clarinet player. I'm the best in my class. I don't understand why I can't compete with these kids, you know, and these kids come from schools that have private lessons. They have people that come in and do private lessons with those kids. They all own their own instruments. They've been playing since they were 10 years old. You know, I have to work harder to compete, you know, and a lot of kids, when they saw that, that's just like, we're not, yeah, I don't love playing my instrument that much. I'm not doing that. So automatically, you know, we had to work harder. And then I'm going to college and going to grad school, you know, and all of those things I've already started from behind. I say all this to say that there's a definite inequality in the school systems, and that has been my plight since I realized that this is a thing. I didn't realize this was a thing until I started going to college and realizing everybody else had different music experiences. Like, everybody's experience was not my own. When I got to college, I had to buy my own instrument. I didn't have money to buy my own instrument. My mom drove me to the to the pawn shop. It was called a Happy Hawker. It was across the street from Libertyland in Memphis. And I played on $100 Bundy clarinet in college as a music major, you know, and everybody else, you know, they have buffets and all other kinds of things. So I started doing research then in my undergrad, and that has been my research throughout my career. I believe that some of the solution lies with the people who make the decisions. Students, it's not a student's fault that they were born into whatever socioeconomic status that they were born in. If they have money, that's not their fault. If they don't have money, that's not their fault. It's our job as educators to make sure we put them on an even playing field. So it starts with it's not starts with, but it has levels to it. Like with band directors, a lot of band directors and that teach in these schools, they kind of give up. It's hard. It's a lot harder if you're the only band director. My first teaching gig, I'm the only band director. You know, I do all the band classes. I do the band rehearsal in the evening. I write the music. I write the shows. I do the grading. I'm doing lesson plans. I do everything because that's the school district I teach in. In my school district, we had a situation where the district provided instruments for the district, but we were also split up into the haves and the have-nots. I taught in the school that was the have-nots. So we didn't have the best instruments. While some schools had, like they had a harp on their inventory. We're playing on plastic Bundy clarinets in my program. You know, that's not even. Those kids are not getting the same thing that everybody else gets. So just as a band director, I said, I'm going to give my students the same opportunity as those kids over there. We can't afford private lessons, but you know what we can do? I got a friend over here that's a flute player. I'm a clarinet player. Listen, you work my flute players, I'm going to work your clarinet players. We're going to work for each other. I got a friend over here that's a percussion player. I also play saxophone. I got your saxes. You come work my percussion players. And those lessons were free for my students. They worked out of the A2 books. So they had a fighting chance when they went out and did college auditions, the same fighting chance that those other schools had that they played for. Don't use "we don't have any money" as an excuse. That's just, when I hear that, oh my gosh, I just get so upset, because it's your responsibility. When you sign that contract, it's your responsibility to make sure those kids have exactly what they need. And if you don't provide that, then shame on you. On another level, as a principal, the administrators of the school, they have to realize that band is a class. You have to help them realize band is a class. Don't do to my class what you wouldn't do to the math class. Would you make me teach math without a book? Nope. My kids need books too. Give me books. Don't make me go out and tell my kids, oh, there's an extra cost to being in the band. You have to also buy your own books. You don't make math kids buy their books. You don't make math kids buy calculators. Don't make my kids buy instruments. My class is a class, just like anything else. And you treat it like it's a class. Class meets during the school day. I've been to districts where band meets after school. The band director teaches general music all day, and then they have band at the end. You can't run a program like that. It has to be a class. There needs to be some education involved. Also, Friday night is an important night, but it's not the most important night. I've been to districts where the whole thing is the principal wants the band director to provide a band to play at those football games. Point blank, period. Now, if you got a middle school band, and that's just my opinion, and I know around here is not a popular opinion, but I just don't believe middle school kids, 6th and 7th grade kids ought to be playing on Friday night. I just don't believe it. I know my middle school kids in the 6th and 7th grade were not ready to give a performance, let alone a field show, let alone to be a competition band. I don't know. I don't know what they're teaching. I don't know how they teach it, but I know where we are in those beginner band books. I know where we are in those method books, and I know my kids aren't ready to play and march at the same time. But that's my opinion. Don't let my bias be your bias. You have to educate principals and let them know that music education is education. It's not to provide you with a band for the football game. And then on the next level is the district. Don't be the district that lets somebody put a harp on the inventory and then your other kids don't have instruments. That's not right. And I don't know how people justify doing something like that, but that has been my fight since day one. I want my kids to have the same opportunities that everybody else has. I don't just teach them the things they know to get into this type of college or that type of college. My kids can go anywhere they want to go. They can go to a PWI, they can go to a HBCU, they can go to the military bands, they can go wherever they want because I gave them what they needed to be successful. So I'm going to stop talking because I can talk about this forever and this thing will go on forever. But I'm very passionate. And like I said, my whole tough love thing, I love my kids, but it's all about a fight for me because I want to make sure that they always have what they need to have. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. You got to fight. Fight for your kids. Fight for your students. Fight for your colleagues. You got to fight for your purpose. Fight for your why. That's what I hear. Let's take a dive into some literature here. Early American women existed in primarily an agricultural society where young women were expected to become home keepers, bear children for family labor, and perform daily domestic duties. Women gained the right of equal membership in the American Federation of Musicians earlier in the 20th century. This organization was founded in 1896. The number of young women studying to become conductors still lags far behind female instrumentalists, singers, or even composers, which is another traditionally male-dominated area. Let's take things outside of the context of music really quick. Men who own property could vote as early as 1820. However, you have women fighting for equal rights to vote through the woman suffrage timeline of 1840 through 1920. 80 years. And if we take things back a notch, 1820 to 1920, that's an entire century. Let's go on to athletics. The National Basketball Association was founded in 1946. However, the Women's National Basketball Association was founded in 1996, 50 years later. Why? Women could vote in 1920. Sit into this literature. Sit in it. Unequal pay. On average, women in the U.S. are paid 18% less than men. By the numbers, female composers. We're looking at composers, orchestral composers. Overall, 98.2% male, 1.8% female, and living, 85.7% male, 14.3% female. Have the numbers changed? Yes. But we have a long ways to go. So if you are a female composer and you enjoy that, that is your passion, that is your love, that's your purpose, your why, your gift, then keep composing. Get out here. Get out here in the field. Don't be scared. Come on out here. We want these numbers to rise, rise, rise. Let's see what other unequal opportunities come to mind. So name some other unequal opportunities that come to mind. They do not have to relate to the music field. Get into Pear Deck. Get into Pear Deck. What comes to mind? Engineering. Computer technology, computer science, geography, unequal opportunities. Again, they do not have to relate to music. Pay, sports, STEM, pilots, science. Living in a safe neighborhood, law enforcement. Politics, CEOs, leadership roles. Different communities have limited access to certain opportunities. Military, church, research on gender gaps in college band directors. Yes, absolutely. Actors, actresses. Again, business, CEO. Christians, education, military band conductors, parenting, treatment by doctors, yes. Feeling safe, healthcare, stock market. Less men as hotel cleaners, absolutely. I don't think I've seen one. Gender roles, expectations, disabilities, yes, absolutely. So yes, we can name other unequal opportunities outside of music. Transfer the knowledge, transfer what you see on an everyday basis. We have to become fluid, and not just in music, but in life. So we've all added some unequal opportunities here. Keep adding them, keep adding them. Once I finish with Pear Deck, we can save these answers and send them out to everybody. Tips for raising awareness about unequal opportunities for female conductors. Now, let me just say this. Yes, my article is written in regards to female conductors because I am a female and I am a conductor. And that is one of my research interests. But please make sure that you can change your lens. This does not all just apply to females. You can apply this information to males. You can apply this information to the LGBTQ plus community. You can apply this information to the disability, the special needs community. So don't put that barrier in front of me and don't put it in front of anybody else or yourself. Transfer your knowledge to other contexts. You have to remain fluid. Dr. Phillips, what are some steps we can take to initiate conversations about unequal opportunities to make others aware?
Yeah, the first thing to me is we need to welcome conversation and not be afraid of it. You know, we're afraid to say the wrong thing, or we're afraid to have these conversations because maybe we're afraid of the answers, or maybe we're going to learn something about ourselves we don't want to know, but we need to have these conversations and open up these opportunities for our students to have these conversations. You know, taking time to it seems so obvious, right? Take time to speak to every single student in the classroom and let them know that they can talk to you too, that you're not some person that's on the podium that they can't come and talk to. That's incredibly important, that they know that they have that open communication and that they can ask questions. But I think I'm right now thinking about our professional organizations and what we're doing in the National Band Association, and we are inviting these conversations because they need to happen. And we need to figure out how to make our major organizations more inclusive.
Thank you so much. Key word, we, not I, not you, but we have to have these discussions. We have to help each other. Absolutely. Dr. Simon, please share a few professional tips on reaching out to colleagues and alumni or alumni.
Well, I can only speak on what I know. Luckily for me, I'm teaching at the school where I went to school. So I'm already in all the chat rooms, all the groups and everything, because this is where I went to school. But a couple things that we do is we try and encourage people. I'll give an example. My associate director of bands did not graduate from here. But we encourage him to participate in everything else that we do. He pays alumni dues just like everybody else. He's at the meetings, he doesn't get the vote or whatever because he's not alumni, but he still participates in everything. We always try and create a bridge so people get to participate. I'm very hands-on with my alumni, very hands-on. And again, it might be because I am alumni from here, but I always make sure I'm hands-on with them so they can feel like they have an open door to reach out to me. My door is always open to anybody, not just people who went to school here. Everybody knows, like, you can walk in that office any day. If my door is open, I have a seat just for you. And I think that's important, to be personable and accessible to people, not just alumni, but to everyone. And that really has been a good thing for my students, not just alum. And I know the question is about alumni, but and that goes across everything. My students come in my office and the words, sometimes the dreaded words are, Dr. Simon, I need to talk to you. Dr. Simon, you got a minute, I need to talk to you. And because I am that accessible, because in this day and time, you don't ever know what these people are going through, what these kids are going. I call them my kids. I'm teaching college now, and I still call them my kids because I still see them as my children. I have to take care of my kids. But you just don't know what these kids are going through. That it's with this pandemic, we've had people to lose people. We have people, they're not doing great in their classes. Everybody doesn't do well with that. I had a student come to my office the other day, and he was just like, I didn't sign up to be an online student. I didn't go to online college because I can't do online, and I'm just not doing well. And he just needed to talk to somebody. I think if you make yourself accessible to people in turn will have some type of trust with you. And again, I know that wasn't exactly your question, but my thing for everyone is I just make myself accessible, and I make myself a part of whatever organization is on campus, whatever organization is doing the work. I want to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. What I hear is building relationships. That's what I hear.
It sounds good. We'll go with it.
Yeah, I hear building relationships. I know we do this on a K through 12 level with our students, or if not, we should be doing it, right? But somehow when individuals get to that collegiate teaching level, somehow that kind of goes out the window with students. And you have to remember where you came from. You build relationships with your students in K through 12, and you have to continue to do that even when you become a collegiate professor. Dr. Johnston Turner, could you please share a few articles with us that you have read? I know you've been dropping things in the chat, but anything that you really want to speak about right now in this moment?
Yeah, but before I do that, what you just said, LaToya, is triggered because I really struggled with what you were talking about when I went to Georgia, and I, all of a sudden was working with a quote unquote pre-professional ensemble, and so I felt I had to be, I don't know what, distant. It took me like several years to what you just said, remember where I came from, and remember that, whether you're teaching college or elementary general music, you're teaching. and a lot of conductors, especially what we used to call the turtlenecks, forget that, right? That they're somehow maestros and have forgotten what that actually means. The resources, I already mentioned Kimberly Crenshaw and the urgency of intersectionality. I think that's sort of top of my list, that really opened my eyes and changed how I thought about that. I also put in, and I really liked what you said at the beginning, LaToya, that I think people are, and Rebecca, you mentioned this too, people are reluctant to talk and share because they're afraid they're going to say the wrong thing. And it's just really important to know that having biases doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. It's just who we are. And so the Harvard implicit bias tests are really, really quite revealing. In many ways, I think they're implicitly biased themselves, but so that's interesting. But to take those tests and learn about your background and what you know and what you've been taught, and coming to grips with the fact that you are just teaching like you've been taught, which might have been good or not, and it takes a while to get beyond that. Those are two things that I would highly recommend. But I also put somewhere that I have 5 pages of resources: podcasts, movies, articles, books, TED Talks, etc., that we put together for another presentation on equity and intersectionality. So I shared that somewhere. I think I can share it again.
Thank you so much. Please get into the chat and get these resources, download them when you have a moment. Dr. Mitchell-Spradlin, please provide us with a few suggestions for project title names. So we're thinking about projects. Sometimes we have a hard time trying to figure out what to call it or what to name it. Help us out.
There's a general thread in what we've all mentioned so far, which is connection and support and representation. And I'm always the one who can come up with a good outline, and then I usually ask somebody else to find the actual topic, somebody more creative than me. So I've worked hard on this one, but the root of what we're addressing is, and the reason why we need to research and explore and present on inequality in this area is to fix a problem. And that problem is lack of engagement, or lack of numbers, or lack of representation, or lack of community, or lack of support or connection. And we can fix that with empowerment. We can fix that with communication. We can fix that with supporting one another. So a potential title would be just simply empower, but empower her. So instead of ER, it's HER, empower her. I admit that I stole that from Penn State's annual series on women in music. Another one could be dismantle the ceiling, even if it's glass. And I particularly have feelings about this title, this thing, the glass ceiling. Oh, she was the first female drum major. She shattered the glass ceiling. Oh, she was the first conductor here. She shattered the glass ceiling. And at first I used to think, great, yes, shatter the glass ceiling. Yes, pull the rest of us up. And then I started thinking, I hate that we put the word ceiling. Like, one accomplishment is we were putting this cap on ourselves. And then we have this one accomplishment, suddenly the gap is or the cap is lifted. And so that could be a potential title for this project in investigating why the ceiling even exists in the first place. Why do we even need to interpret it as such anymore, and how to eradicate it in the future.
Awesome. I think you came up with some wonderful topics. I know I've heard this ceiling before too, and I've been one to tap on it as well. So I understand exactly what you're speaking about. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. I see some heads to the side. I see some wide eyes. We're going in there. Sexist stereotypes. Sexist stereotypes, as I put in my article, are somewhat like cancer. They invade a person's aura emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. According to Unity Point Health, cancer remains the #2 cause of death in the United States in adults. And I'm quite sure that we all know someone who has had cancer. If they weren't in your immediate family, maybe a friend, maybe a friend of a friend, maybe a colleague's family member. We all know someone who has had cancer. So think about the emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical changes that occurred in that individual. Think about the family dynamic. Think about their outlook on life. Some people that have gone through cancer or maybe still are going through cancer, they don't want to be here. They just want to give up. They don't want to take it anymore. They don't want any more chemo. They don't want any more radiation. They don't want any more doctor's visits. They don't want any more pain, any more suffering. And some are very optimistic. They're ready to fight. They are motivated. They are determined to beat that cancer, determined to get back to who they were, determined to see smiles on their family members' faces, determined to see their hair grow back. They are determined. So when we think about this, sexist stereotypes can be extremely detrimental to a person's confidence, their attitude, and their willingness to learn and achieve. So what are you doing to cut the cancer? What are you doing to remove that cancer out of your band program, out of your administrators, out of your student leaders, out of your colleagues, out of the music community? Again, we have to address situations and individuals in the profession. We have to put plans into motion. We have to continue to advocate for change. Based on how you identify your gender, have you ever felt like you did not belong in a musical setting, whether it was an ensemble, a section, a class, a music program, department of music, school of music, applied studio? Yes or no? And be honest. Maybe you went to a workshop or clinic, or shul work, Kadai, Alexander technique, Laban. went to a conducting workshop, and you just felt out of place, like you didn't belong. No one made you feel like you belonged. All right, we have some responses trickling in here. So far, we have 28 yes responses, 13 no responses. So what we're going to do right now is to help each other out. This is why we are here. We have to continue to help each other in this profession. And that starts with these discussions, these conversations, being your genuine self all the time, always. So for all of our individuals who said yes, I want you to help everyone who said no, because we have to put them in your shoes. We have to give them the space, the lens to empathize with what you experienced, what happened. So now it's time. For all of my yes individuals, please describe this feeling and provide context on the environment as it pertains to your particular experience. How did you feel? Why did you feel that you did not belong in that music community, in that musical space? And did someone make a remark or a generalization about you? Help us understand. Help us put your lens on. I am navigating to the responses. Keep typing, keep typing. We have no responses and we have to help them understand. And oftentimes we have no responses because you are part of the majority population. You may have that privilege. So we're going to let you know what that feels like, what it looks like. Being the only girl in a jazz ensemble, I would get, oh, she's good for a girl, always made me angry and feel like I wasn't good enough. Even though I was. Come on, yes, you were. Bring that confidence. You got to be confident. I was the only female high school band director in a district of for 10 years. It was a total boys club, and none of them reached out to me. Fellas, I know you're in here. I'm not saying that it may be you, but if it were, come on, make everyone feel welcome. Being a vocalist and multi-instrumentalist, focusing on electric bass, I have oftentimes been held at a higher standard, always looked at as, she's dope for a female. Well, heck yeah. Come on, get into these responses here. Get into these responses. Keep typing. Share your experience. Because some people did not have this experience. They do not have to look through your lens. But that's where it starts. At conferences, Midwest, CBDNA, conducting symposia. I am more times than not the only Asian Pacific Islander female college band director. So for all of you that enter these spaces, Midwest, CBDNA, conducting symposia, how can you make everyone feel welcome? What is it that you can do? We have DCI, constantly feeling small and often corrected students who would only use masculine pronouns to refer to high school band directors. I'm scrolling. Get into it. Read these experiences and think about how you can change, how you can help, how you can welcome others who feel like they do not belong. What's wrong with your space? What's wrong with your band program? What's wrong? How can you make everyone feel welcome? What can you do? I'm gonna do one more scroll. Get into it. You can also scroll on your end. And we're gonna keep moving. But this is the opportunity. This is the chance that you have to use your voice and speak about your personal experiences and let others be aware of those experiences and try to empathize with what's going on, what they see. This is not a you profession. This is a we profession. This is an other profession. It's not about self at all. It's a service organization for everyone. Let's take a dive into the sexist stereotypes literature. Oh, they'll never hire you there because you're the wrong gender. Say what? What is the wrong gender? We must explicitly and implicitly teach all children that there is a place for both boys, girls, however you identify, sexual orientation, in the music world, as well as our disability, our special needs community. There is a place. How can you provide that space in that place? From infancy, we have fallen into a sexual trap. Males are supposed to be more aggressive, active, and pulsing with creative energy. Females, they're to be submissive, sensitive to the needs of others, and attentive to minor details. Yet when it comes to careers in music, it is the young men who are encouraged to pursue ambitious career goals, while women are discouraged from high professional aspirations. We could probably all shake our head yes to that. Women were not employed by orchestras because of society's sexist view towards a woman's presumed lack of musical ability and commitment. Sit in the literature. Let it sink in.
You have somebody to raise their hand in Zoom here. Grace, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Dr. Webb your question.
Hello, yes?
She may have decided to lower her hand.
All right. Sexist topics that music educators face. Let him play the drums. That's a masculine instrument. Only females conduct the choir. The drum major should be male. Put her on the flute. That's a girly instrument. What instrument do you play? Clarinet? Oh, that's gay. The orchestra concertmaster is a male. Ma'am, could you point me in the right direction of the marching band director? Sir, I am the director. Oh, I thought it was a guy. I just saw that guy walking up there with that polo and those slacks. You sure he's not the director? I'm the director. Why do I have to program compositions by women or BIPOC? Females should only teach on the elementary level. Says who? Who made that decision? Was it a mentor? Was it a teacher that you've had before that has said those things? Did they embed that in your head? Did they drill it in your brain? Who said these things? So let's take a little bit of time here. I am going to stop my share because I want everyone to see everybody on this screen. And we are going to go through a visual aid process